November 24th, 1971. A man in a dark suit and sunglasses walks up to a ticket counter in Portland, Oregon, and buys a one-way seat under a name that doesn't exist. By the end of that night, he'll have hijacked a commercial airplane, demanded $200,000 in cash, jumped out of the back of that plane at 10,000 feet, and vanished into a storm so completely that not one piece of solid proof of who he was has ever been found. This is the only unsolved hijacking in American aviation history, and it starts exactly like this. He boards Flight 305, quiet, calm, polite to the flight attendant checking his ticket. He takes his seat, 18C, orders a bourbon and soda like any other passenger flying home for Thanksgiving. Nobody on that plane has any idea what's about to happen. As the plane lifts off the runway, he watches the ground fall away outside his window, completely at ease. Then he raises his hand and calls the flight attendant over. What he hands her next is a folded note, and the second she opens it, this ordinary flight turns into one of the strangest unsolved mysteries America has ever produced. She unfolds the note in the galley, expecting a phone number. A little flirtation, maybe. That happened all the time on flights like this. Instead, she reads a single line that makes her blood run cold. "I have a bomb in my briefcase. I want you to sit next to me." She walks back to his row. He calmly opens his briefcase just enough for her to see the wires and red cylinders packed inside. Then he closes it again, just as calmly, like he's showing her nothing more than a sandwich. He tells her exactly what he wants. $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, delivered the moment this plane lands in Seattle. She goes straight to the cockpit. The captain opens the door to find her hands shaking, and within seconds, the entire crew understands they're not flying a normal commercial flight anymore. The captain gets on the radio to Seattle Air Traffic Control. Within minutes, that message reaches the FBI field office. And a room full of agents suddenly has one job: get $200,000, get 4 parachutes, and figure out, before this plane lands, exactly who they're dealing with. They have less than 2 hours, and they have absolutely nothing to go on. BI agents race to a local bank and demand every $20 bill they can get their hands on, but not before photographing and recording every single serial number. 10,000 of them, a decision that will matter more than anyone in that room could have possibly guessed. Meanwhile, back on the plane, he stays completely calm. He tells the flight attendant exactly how he wants the handoff to happen, where the truck should park, how close the stairs need to be. He's thought through every detail. The kind of planning that makes investigators believe, almost immediately, that this isn't his first time thinking about something like this. When the plane finally touches down at Seattle-Tacoma Airport, an FBI agent watches from a distance through binoculars as a single ground agent walks toward the aircraft stairs carrying a bag holding $200,000. The flight attendant takes the bag from him at the door. She carries it back down the aisle and sets it down in front of the man in seat 18C. He starts counting, bill by bill, like he has all the time in the world. And once he's satisfied every dollar is there, he gives his next order, one that no one on that plane expected. Let every passenger go. That's his order. And within minutes, every single person on that flight, everyone except the crew, is walking down the aircraft stairs to safety, completely unaware of how close they'd come to something far worse. FBI agents watch from a distance as the passengers are guided onto buses. Not one of them knows the man responsible is still sitting quietly on that plane, calmly waiting for his next move. With the cabin nearly empty, he calls the captain back to talk directly. He gives him a new flight plan, a specific altitude, a specific speed, and one very unusual instruction. Keep the rear stairs of the aircraft unlocked and keep the cabin unpressurized. At the time, almost nobody in aviation thought that was even possible to do safely, mid-flight. He clearly did, As ground crews scramble to refuel the plane for departure, an FBI agent argues furiously with airline executives, trying to buy just a few more minutes to get agents onto that runway. It's not enough time, because as the plane prepares to take off again into the darkest, stormiest night Seattle had seen in weeks, the man in seat 18C calmly straps on a parachute, and the flight attendant, watching from a distance, realizes she may be looking at the last few minutes anyone will ever see him alive.
He's completely alone in the back of the cabin. The cockpit door stays sealed, exactly as he demanded. The captain and co-pilot can't see what's happening behind them. They can only feel it. A slight shift in the plane's balance, a pressure warning light beginning to blink on the panel. Something back there is happening, and they have no way to stop it. On the ground, FBI pursuit vehicles race through the rain, trying to stay beneath the flight path, radioing updates back to a command center that's working with almost nothing, a rough altitude, a rough speed, and a whole lot of dark forest below. In the back of that plane, he works the aft stairwell lever himself. Wind screams through the widening gap. The money bag is strapped tightly to his body. He steps to the very edge of the open stairwell, 296 seconds after this flight left the ground, and steps out into a Pacific Northwest thunderstorm, 10,000 feet above dense forest in the middle of the night. Minutes later, the captain cautiously steps back into the cabin to check on him. The seat is empty. The stairwell is wide open. And the man who started all of this is simply gone.
Somewhere below that storm, a man is falling through freezing rain into some of the most remote, densely forested terrain in the entire Pacific Northwest. And from that exact moment, he becomes the single hardest man the FBI has ever tried to find. The plane lands safely in Reno. The moment it touches down, an FBI agent is already climbing the stairs, met by the captain at the top. Both men fully aware that whatever just happened, it's already over. There's nothing left to stop. Inside the cabin, they find the open stairwell still swinging slightly in the wind, a torn strip of parachute cord left behind, and almost nothing else. Within hours, search and rescue teams are combing a forested mountainside in the dark, flashlight beams sweeping through soaked underbrush, looking for a man who could be anywhere across hundreds of square miles. They interview the flight attendant. She describes him as unnervingly calm, polite, almost gentle given the circumstances. Weeks pass. The search teams begin packing up, and an FBI agent stands alone at the edge of that forest, staring into trees that refuse to give up their answer. Over the following months, and then years, the tips never stop coming in. Hundreds of them. Thousands, eventually. People convinced their neighbor, their uncle, their coworker was secretly the man who jumped out of that plane. Almost none of them lead anywhere. The FBI investigates over 800 suspects in total. Every single one gets ruled out. Years pass. The lead agent on the case grows older. The file grows thicker. The trail, if it was ever really there, goes completely cold. Then, in February of 1980, nearly 9 years after that jump, something happens that nobody sees coming. A young boy on a family camping trip is digging in the sandy bank of the Columbia River, just for fun, the way kids do. His fingers hit something buried beneath the sand. He calls his father over. Together, they start uncovering decayed, crumbling bundles of cash. buried in the exact riverbank, along the exact flight path, all these years later. The FBI runs the serial numbers against that decade-old ledger. They match exactly.
They look almost the same.
For the first time in 9 years, there's physical proof this really happened, and physical proof of exactly where some of that money ended up. But here's what almost nobody expects. Instead of finally solving this case, that discovery...
Because if the money landed in that riverbank, it means he either jumped far closer to civilization than anyone calculated, or the money somehow moved after he landed. And neither answer solves the one question everyone actually wants answered. Who survived a 10,000-foot jump at night into a Pacific Northwest storm wearing nothing but a suit and loafers? To this day, the FBI has never definitively proven whether he lived or died that night. In 2016, after 45 years, the FBI officially suspended the active investigation. Not because they solved it, but because they'd run out of leads to chase. The case file still exists, still gets pulled off the shelf occasionally, still gets handed down to new analysts who read through decades of dead-end tips and composite sketches that never quite matched anyone. Small towns along that old flight path still celebrate his disappearance every November, with festivals, costumes, toasts raised to a man nobody has ever actually identified. Because here's the truth this case keeps coming back to. Somewhere out there, someone knew exactly what to do to disappear completely. Somewhere out there, for one night in 1971, an ordinary commercial flight became the setting for something that has never, not once, been fully explained. If you have a theory of your own about who he really was, put it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want more of America's strangest unsolved mysteries, hit subscribe, because we're doing this every single week.